And I monitor ransomware sites. I know that there are active extortions going on right now, especially if you have any type of patient images before and after. That stuff being leaked on the dark web, that can completely shut down a business. It affects your patient trust, your reputation.
Doctors become doctors and nurses become nurses because they want to help people. Everything that we've been talking about, that's how you help and protect your patients. Yes.
Welcome to the
Thank
Mission
you.
Secure podcast.
Thank
I'm so
you.
grateful that you got to come today. This is a special Secure Your Practice edition. We're talking about the medical industry today. Before we get too farther, I just want to introduce you to our audience. Your name is Lisa Gaouette. You are founder and principal strategist of the new G4 Strategies.
Yes.
That's so wonderful. Well, why don't you just start, Lisa? Why don't you start by telling us what G4 Strategies is all about, how it came to be?
Yeah, it's been a journey, Melanie. Just my experience. So I started my career actually in software, and I did a lot of like IT backend product support on different applications for a very large software company for 13 years. After that, I went into consulting. So I did various large scale projects of like mobile app development, served as like program manager, project manager, scrum master, product owner, all of that. Got all my certifications like within that 4 year span. And then after that, I actually had my son, and I wanted to get back into industry because, as a consultant, the hours are grueling, like 60 hours. Just actually, consultant hours was at least 45 minimum. And then on top of that, I wanted to be involved in different initiatives within that company. So I would spend like another, 10 to 15 hours a week. So long hours, raising two kids, wife, all of that. So after that, I actually went into medical device. So I did various different roles there, but I got hired as a program manager. And I also built up like a mini PMO team as well. And I was known as the PM that you assign for the worst projects in the world.
Oh, gosh.
Like the projects in the gutter, like buried in the hole. So like, oh, Lisa can help rise it. And
Because
and
you were
make
the
it.
only one that could.
Yeah. And then I was there for 4 years, and that was a medical device at R&D. It was really tough, very regulated, very highly regulated. And I came on it from an R&D perspective. So I wasn't out in the field. So I was internal. But I dealt with a lot of like audits, like FDA audits, like international audits, like Canada has their own audit process. And I unfortunately got let go, and my world changed. I went through a lot of challenges, and I ended up in marketing. And I never thought in a million years I would end up in marketing, but I did. And through that journey of like print, promo, and apparel, and then getting back into medical, like everything kind of just came together. And I thought, with my experience, I can do it better. And I can help small to medium sized businesses like actually have a fighting chance in this crazy, competitive, highly competitive world. Because these business owners, they are so smart, they're amazing, but they're good in their craft. And that's what I see day in and day out. But they don't know how to run a business. A doctor does not go for their MBA. Doctor does not get they don't take accounting classes. They don't take finance classes. They don't take operations classes. They don't take those type of classes. And I have that experience. And I talked about my career, but I also have my undergrad at one of the best state schools in California. And then I also got my MBA as well while I was working in the software company, while I was planning our wedding, while I was, then I got pregnant, and you could tell from like the way that I am, like I'm just a busy bee. Like I've always been. I always want to be out there. I always want to learn. I always want to like be engaged with people. And so that's where it came.
So much of your story resonates with me because I also had a very long career in the insurance industry and found myself as part of a layoff
Yeah.
and had to pivot
Yeah.
back to sales and marketing roots
Yeah.
also. So we do have that in
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
So you use a phrase called secure leadership. I think we talked about this a little bit. What does that actually mean to you? And why does secure leadership specifically matter in the medical industry where that trust is
Oh, yeah.
such a big deal? Your
It
patients
is.
trust you with their
Yes.
lives, with their
Yes.
health, with their personal health information, with sometimes pictures and sensitive information. So what does secure mean to you in the medical industry?
It is huge. It's huge. And for the businesses that are not paying attention to it,
Hmm.
there could be severe ramifications on that.
Hmm.
For example, HIPAA,
Yes.
right? You as a patient, you sign all the documents, right? When you go see your doctor, like, oh, okay, HIPAA compliance, HIPAA compliance. Did we share this? Did we share this? Well, from a business side, that's even more important because you have confidential information about your patients. And if you don't secure that in the proper way, there are huge ramifications. And I've been, trust me, I was in medical device, which is we had different classes. So within devices, there's different classes, class 1, 2, and 3.
Hmm.
So 1 is like the lower end, and 3 is like high, super high end. And I actually dealt with all 3, but mostly at the top. And these were implantable medical devices. Do you know the amount of quality control and SOPs that we had to get to not only write, but also like training wise? Like if they did an iteration of like one line in an SOP, it got blasted out to everybody, all impacted parties, especially R&D, obviously, right? So we'd have to train on that. Like every day we'd probably have a training. And so it is so, and they do that because they can get a fine.
Hmm.
They can get sued. They can get, there's so many different things that can happen in the medical space. And that's why, because it's so highly regulated.
Okay, so I have some HIPAA questions because in my experience, some of the offices, I will call them businesses, they're not all practices, that are subject to HIPAA haven't really taken it seriously until recently.
Okay.
So in my experience, HIPAA violations didn't have a lot of teeth or a lot of grit to them for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. And I believe something changed last year and the HIPAA violations got a lot stronger and they started enforcing them because I've been watching HIPAA violations come down too small and meet. It's not just the big guys
Yeah.
that they're after.
Yeah.
I think one of the myths we deal with is, I'm just a small practice,
Sure, sure.
that
They're
doesn't
not, they don't have time for me, or
yeah,
they're not gonna,
they're not going to come after
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Well, now we're seeing fines and penalties being enforced on smaller and medium-sized businesses. So what would I've walked in, for example, I've walked into a medical business and I was talking with them about cybersecurity because that's
Mm-hmm.
my area of
Yeah.
expertise. And the first thing I did when I walked in to the business was see a sign-in form with names and addresses and phone numbers and emails. And I said, "Oh, is that a list of your patients right there, just out on the counter?"
Wait, question on that. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the little white sticker that covers up.
No, it was
Oh,
just handwritten.
yeah.
So I was in there to help show him where his HIPAA exposure might be, and then I noticed the nurse was at a like an iPad,
Okay.
and she walked away. And from my vantage point, I could see that the iPad screen wasn't locked; it was just wide open with the work she'd been doing, which
Okay.
was
Which
she
was
just checked in a patient.
patient information. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I said, "Oh, does that have a lock on it after a certain time?" Well, no, actually, it doesn't. And I got to looking closer and down on the counter. I said, "What's that written on that sticky note down there? Is that a password?"
Oh, no.
And he was like, "Yes, the nurses share passwords right there next to the device."
Yikes.
And like we went through that business and I'm not a HIPAA expert, but I do know a few things about security.
Yeah.
And
You know more than a few things.
well, and I just kept seeing all these, and I thought in my mind, why is this not mattering more to this business owner? And he ended up declining cybersecurity.
Really?
I went back and forth with him, and tried to help him and showed him a few options.
Can I ask why? Why
I
did they decline it?
I don't know why. Just they couldn't afford it.
Okay.
They couldn't afford it.
Okay.
It was just too expensive.
Sure.
And what I try to explain is, listen, you can pay a scheduled amount for some security each month now, or you can get hit with a cyber attack or a HIPAA fine
Yeah.
and pay a whole lot
Oh
more
yeah. Like what?
unexpected
Like
cost.
probably like 10 to 20 times probably.
Oh, I can't even say. I mean, it would depend on the business and what the attack was or what the fine was, the violation was. But and he had 4 different medical locations, all located within different, very busy mall areas, and it just shocked me. And so, what's changed about HIPAA now, though, that medical businesses should be paying attention to? They should be concerned about. Like,
Yeah.
what's your perspective on that?
Well, again, I think it's they're actually enforcing it. I think the law has always been there,
Hmm.
right? But they're actually having people like check up on these
Was it
businesses, right?
suggested at one point and now it's required? Did it move from a suggested set of
No,
compliance to
no.
required?
Again, I'm not a HIPAA expert,
Okay.
but my understanding HIPAA's always been there. I mean, I can remember all the doctors I've seen. I've always had to sign a HIPAA thing, like
Mm-hmm.
a HIPAA form.
Yes.
So I don't think that's ever changed,
Okay.
right? So what I think is happening is there's always a HIPAA fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the fine is higher now. Maybe they actually have people that are doing the audits now.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's coming down to. And there's more people getting hit. And then obviously we live in a digital age, so they're going to talk about it more, right? And yeah, I think businesses really need to get ahead of it. You're not in the clear. And maybe they think they are because they're small,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they're in a market like where we are today, where there's like, a chiropractor on every corner. And they're like, oh, surely they're not going to hit me. They're not going to audit me.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't think of it. It's just like insurance, right? Like we have car insurance, we have home insurance. This is another type of insurance.
So when it comes to HIPAA, what I know is that when you're HIPAA compliant, that's the minimum standard.
Yes.
But what you need to actually be protected is a lot more. Um, it's not the standard required for the people who are trusting you.
Yeah.
Like you have patient photos. Like we have
Yeah.
a plastic surgery center with
Oh,
patient
yeah.
photos before and after, very sensitive. And I monitor ransomware sites. I know that there are active extortions going on right
Oh,
now.
I know.
Es-
It's really bad, I feel like.
Especially if you have any type of patient images
Yes.
before and after, that stuff being leaked on the dark web, that stuff being exfiltrated by a bad actor, that can completely shut down a business. It affects your patient trust, your reputation,
Yes.
the notifications that have to go out legally, the HIPAA fine or
Yeah.
penalty that you
Yeah.
have to pay.
Yeah.
It's just wild to me.
Yeah. Yes. And you think about like, and not to like derail from the medical, but like these big like retail corporations that have recently got hacked, and they took like all of their patient information, their financial information,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's all over the news.
Right.
And that can easily happen in the medical space.
Right.
Probably to another level, like.
I would agree. And those are the big ones, the sensationalized ones. The myth I hear a lot from our little local business owners
Yeah.
here that we care so much
I
about, because
know.
we're both
Yes.
small local
Yes.
business owners,
Yes.
is, that, oh, I don't ever hear about the small ones on the news. And I say, exactly. You don't hear about the small ones on the news because they're not sensationalized, but
Yeah.
you're not too small to be hacked. You're
Yes.
probably just too small to make the news.
Yes,
That's all. But it is happening
exactly.
every day. If you go back and look
Yeah.
through the HIPAA journal,
Yeah.
there are tons and tons of small and mid-sized businesses now being, having penalties imposed
Yeah.
and fines imposed
Yeah.
because it does apply to you.
Yeah.
HIPAA does have teeth now.
Yeah. And sharing those stories, like I think that can be even more powerful because people like live on fear sometimes. They make decisions on fear. And so maybe seeing that these other smaller like non-corporate businesses are getting impacted can make a world of difference.
Yeah. And I always hate to lead with fear, uncertainty, and doubt,
Sure.
but there is a level when you're educating, there is a level of reality.
No,
I
yeah.
never want to over exaggerate,
Sure.
but gosh, I want to paint a realistic
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
People need to know what they're up against and that you're not just going to fly under the radar, not for the criminals, and not for HIPAA.
Yeah. But I mean, I think about like travel insurance. I mean, I always debate on this. Like when we travel, it's like, do I get travel insurance?
Mhm.
But like, it's that fear of a catastrophe happening. It's that fear of them losing our luggage. It's that fear of, those different things. And so I think it's the same. It's the same here. Like the fear of getting fined like millions of dollars.
Mhm. And how long do you want to gamble that you're
Exactly.
not going to get
Exactly.
fined or that you're
Exactly.
not going to get hacked?
Exactly.
I mean, that's basically what it is. You're gambling with your business,
Yep.
with your business and your staff, with your patients,
Yeah.
with your profits.
Yeah.
I
Everything.
mean, yeah.
Everything.
So when you walk into a medical practice today, you've been in many of them. What do you see that others might be walking right past, like good or bad, security or otherwise? What tells you immediately that this practice is running the way they should be,
Hmm.
or maybe they shouldn't be?
Yeah. Again, I have been to a lot of medical establishments of varying. So I've been to gastros, primary cares, OBs, urgent cares, you name it. Even eye doctors. Like I've been in the offices. And some are really like they are good. They're good with the way that they run their practice, very streamlined. The front desk person, they have like a high desk, right? So you can't see patient information, even if they have like, forms, filled out forms. They have a clipboard, and then like you sign in a clipboard. That's why I asked you earlier. Like you you check in,
Yes.
but they have that sticker. They have that sticker that basically whites out all the other patients that have checked in, but still
Yeah.
one page.
Yes.
So that's again like just being proactive. They have the iPads, right, that they give to you directly, right? And then when they take it back, like it's behind an area, it's automatically locked, like all those
Mm-hmm.
things that you
Mm-hmm.
talked about. But I've also been in places where they don't have any of that.
Mm.
Like, for example, I've been in actually a pediatrician office and went in and just talked in the front desk and, opens, they have a screen, which is great for security, right? So open the screen and there's just papers everywhere, like all over the desk, and I'm not like one to snoop or anything like that, but it's like hard to not see it right in front of me. And there's like a patient name there. There's like sticky notes there. Don't know. I don't remember what they said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and I think actually no, I remember one of the pieces of paper had a scanned driver's license,
Mm-hmm.
just sitting right there, right when you open the window, and it's a low desk, so you can just totally see it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff like I see. And again, that's that sign-in form. No stickers to cover the name. I can see, oh, Jane Doe was here like 10 minutes ago. She's
Is it
just checked in.
is it common for nurses to share or devices to share passwords? Like if a device is in an operating room, say, or something, and they're using an iPad, and another nurse comes in, those passwords, I've seen them written on sticky notes and literally stuck on imaging machines. I'm like, wow, that's
Yeah,
not secure.
it's actually quite common.
Yes, it is. Okay, I wondered what your experience
Yeah,
was, because in
it's
my
actually quite
experience,
common.
we've worked with, as medical establishments have become our customers, and we've cleaned up
Yeah,
their cyber
yeah,
hygiene and gotten their
yeah,
cyber
yeah,
posture into a much better place.
yeah,
Those are some of the things
yeah.
that they resist the most.
Well, and you have to think about it from their side, right? Like in an emergency room, there's two shifts. There's the daytime shift, the nighttime shift.
Okay.
They're 12 hours long, okay? And they are people, nurses that may be full time, they may be part time. They probably work at like three other freestanding emergency rooms, right? And they're just like the amount of like change of staff, right, that
Right.
happens. And so, to be honest, I think it's a combination of things. I think it's being, to be honest, lazy
Mm-hmm.
to have to get a username and a password for every single employee, whether full time, part time, all of that.
Right.
And then it's the second side is like, well, how much is it going to cost for me to have multiple users, end user licenses, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I think it's really comes down to those things. But I think what they don't realize is this is not how you need to operate your business,
It's not HIPAA
and
compliant.
it's not HIPAA compliant.
And you may be HIPAA compliant on paper, but are you actually carrying that out in your practice?
Exactly.
One of the offices I went in recently had a set of metal medical drawers like behind the front desk. They were open. They were pulling files. They were talking to me as patients came in, and I was like, what's back there in those files? Are those your patient files? And they're like, yes. I'm like, oh, are those locked? And they're like, no, we keep them open during the day. And this was a very busy medical practice. It was inside of a mall, so it was like anyone could walk in from the mall.
Really? It wasn't like behind a closed door or anything
No, it
like
was
that?
not.
Or a locked door?
No, no, it was not.
Wow.
And I was just, I pointed that out again as one of the, areas that we would need to secure.
Yeah.
Anybody could walk in
Mhm.
off the street and just
Yeah.
pull a file.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk for a minute about, I know part of HIPAA is that you get an annual risk assessment. It audits your security. And that's one of the areas that IT architects specialize in. We do independent third-party risk assessments. And, I always say you can be prepared on paper,
Sure.
but until you've proven that with a risk audit, you're not really protected.
Mhm.
And we're talking about protecting your revenue and protecting your profits. And so I was speaking with an infant ear care center recently, and she didn't even know that an annual audit was something that she needed to do to be HIPAA compliant. And she had she had an IT and security company that was managing her security, but had never spoken to her about HIPAA or that an annual audit was a requirement.
Wow. Wait, but they're IT security.
Yes.
They're not like IT infrastructure, which is totally different.
It is.
Okay.
And that's interesting that you bring that up, because that's another very common
Yeah.
misconception.
Yeah.
Business owners, as you mentioned earlier, business owners are the experts in running their business. They're not the experts in IT. They're not the experts in security. And what I found is that they hand off their security to their IT person or their IT staff. And as we know, IT and cybersecurity are two very separate and distinct specialties.
Very.
It would be like asking your general practitioner to perform your heart surgery.
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
a similar field,
Yes.
similar
Yes.
related
Yes.
medical industry things, but you don't want that person, you don't want your general doctor doing your specialized
Yes.
services.
They don't, yeah, you don't want your general doctor to put a stent in your
No,
yeah.
exactly. And I feel like I try to use medical analogies when I'm talking with my medical office clients. And a risk assessment to me is like if you were going to have a root canal, your dentist would do a X-ray first to see what's inside,
Yes.
to know where the potential issues
Yes.
could be.
Yeah. I love that analogy. You
And-
should use that for your marketing for sure.
Yes. And so you wouldn't want your dentist just drilling on your tooth without an X-ray first.
Yeah.
You also can't just count on your HIPAA compliance checklist to make sure you're secure. You can't count on your IT person who's specialized in infrastructure, keeping your computers running and your printers plugged in and the boots on the ground work. You can't just stack cybersecurity on top of an already busy IT person. Now, I'm not saying there aren't IT people that don't have cybersecurity specialty, but it is a special certification. It is a special degree. It's a specialty that they would have had to have studied. So I find that business owners don't understand the difference. And they think, oh, my IT guy's handling my cybersecurity. I'm covered. And then when we come in and do a risk audit, I delivered one yesterday, they had both an IT department and they had an MSP handling their security. And we found unencrypted data everywhere, personal information, everything from social security numbers to phone numbers to names to addresses. Your data has to be encrypted while it's at rest, but if you're a medical practice, you're emailing, you're communicating, you're, that's also in motion. You've got to make sure that sort of thing is encrypted. So I just wonder, do you have any experience or do you know anything about medical security audits or whether HIPAA compliance is really making sure that people are having those annual audits?
Again, I'm not involved in that part, but my guess, and again, I've worked for them and I've been inside a lot of them, is they don't have those audits, which is something I think about, and I think that it's going to come. I mean, you think about these huge financial institutions, Like the amount of rigor and audits that they have, and they can get severely fined. Like, how come it hasn't hit the medical industry yet? Like that level, right? And so I think it's coming, and it should come, because as a patient, not only for me, my family, my kids, like that's private data. I want that secure.
I almost feel like we've just gotten used to receiving these breach notification
I
letters in the
know,
mail.
yes,
It's like, well,
yeah,
your data's been in
yeah,
another breach.
yeah.
And
Oh, make sure you sign up for your credit report. So,
yes,
you
your
know,
free year of credit
yeah, yeah,
service,
yeah.
credit monitoring. But for a doctor, I feel like that level of personal trust is so different. And if I found out my doctor hadn't had proper security in place,
Oh, yeah, I would leave.
and
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, I
you're
would leave.
losing patients.
Yeah. And there's another doctor right around the corner anyway, right?
It's true. And all the marketing campaigns in the world
Mhm.
can't gain you back the customer trust that's damaged from a breach
Yeah,
notification letter.
yeah.
I worked with a small, I think it was 4 or 5 offices, sports orthopedic center, and they were so concerned with getting their imaging devices working properly, and some of the machine, and we helped them with their phones. And I talked to them about cybersecurity till I was blue in the face, and I pointed out all of the things that we've talked about, the shared passwords, and they had no employee offboarding. When an employee offboarded or left, they would have the locks on the front door changed, but they wouldn't have their
What about their devices?
yes,
Which they probably have patient information on it.
exactly. They weren't changing their passwords to their devices, so that person could still, though they weren't with the company anymore, they
Yeah.
could still log in. They could still
Yeah.
get access.
Oh,
to
yeah,
their
and you hear these stories of these like disgruntled employees that get fired or laid off.
So let's talk about vendors for a minute, because medical practices use all kinds of third-party vendors. And IBM puts out a report every year, cost of a data breach. And what they were able to identify is that 82% of breaches were coming from third-party vendors.
Really?
And the reason is because criminals know to gain access to hundreds of medical companies,
Oh, they just go
they
through
have
the
to
vendors.
breach one vendor.
Oh,
They get
versus,
into that
yeah.
vendor, they get access to all the medical businesses that
Wow.
use that software, that
Yeah.
patient
Sure.
portal, any of those
Yeah.
things. And so, I always like to bring that up, because vendors aren't being vetted. People think, oh, I hear this when I talk to medical practices. Oh, we use an
EMR. Thank
Okay.
you. I was like, I know it. I was like, I know it. EMR, yes.
So I use an EMR. All my data is safe with the EMR. It's the security is the EMR's responsibility. However, what I will tell you is that I always ask, well, did you read the fine print in the contract that you sign? I mean, when we get phones, what do? We sign a contract. We don't read it, right?
Yep.
Do you know if Verizon gets breached?
Yeah.
It's our information
Yeah.
that gets leaked. It's
Yeah.
our
But we
information
sign
that
something
gets out.
that says we're not going to come after them
Yes,
or whatnot.
we hold
Yeah.
them harmless.
Yeah.
It's the same way in the medical industry, or within any industry. We're using dozens, if not hundreds, of vendors, and all of those contracts say, if we're breached, you're responsible for your data, not us. And they actually encourage the business owner to do backups of their data, because if the data is
Ransomware, like
ransomed,
yeah.
if it's exfiltrated and encrypted, we're not responsible for it. You are. So let's think through that. Okay, you outsourced your technology, but did you really outsource your risk? No. Did you vet any of those vendors? First of all, do you have a list of all your vendors?
Yeah.
Just starting with
I
an
know.
inventory list.
They probably don't.
Probably not. Most of them don't. They'll say they do, but then when I say, well, can we see your list? They can't produce it. But then on top of that is, did you ask them any security questions? We have a vendor vetting framework that we use with all of our clients. We help manage those vendor relationships, because we know that every single point that accesses your data is a potential compromise or breach waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But talking to a medical practice, I run up against this a lot. They'll say, no, it's not our security. It's their security issue. And so I have to go through this educational moment where I say, okay, well, if your EMR went down, who suffered? How would you operate without them? Could you operate without your top 5 vendors? Could you? Do you know how? Can you tell me how that would look? Would your
what do they say?
It's kind of just a quiet moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what would your staff do? Would they have to cancel appointments? Would
Yeah.
they have to reschedule appointments? What would happen to the people sitting in your waiting room?
Mhm.
Would you have to send them home? Would they get the care they needed?
Mhm.
What would happen?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's an interesting conversation that uh, medical business owners don't think through because security is not their specialty, medicine is. And it's just something that we have to
Educate.
educate
Yes, educate.
because then you're equipped
Yeah.
and then you're empowered to make decisions
Yeah.
based on that.
Yeah. 100%.
So as you walk, I'm curious, as you walk into different medical offices, are there red flags, security red flags? Now that we've had this conversation, are there security red flags that you would pick up on now? Or that
Oh, yeah. I mean, I already
already do?
I already do pick up on it.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't, like, before talking to you, I hadn't really thought about really the ramifications that it has on the business and the owner and the doctor and the staff and the
And the
patients and the
patients.
patients, obviously 100% of patients.
Golly. What I'll tell you is that the small to medium sized practices, maybe even 3, 4, 5 locations, they're very attractive targets for cyber criminals because they don't always have the security in place that they're supposed to. In my experience, they don't. And that's why I'm so, dedicated to their security because
Yeah.
they're serving patients. They're a business that I want to help. I grew up working in my family's small business, so I have a heart for small businesses. But what we know is that 60% of mid-sized businesses that are hit by a cyber attack never fully recover.
Yeah.
And
So
many
so
of them go out of
they go under,
business
yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And that's
So
not
sad. That's so
okay.
sad.
That is not okay with me.
Yeah.
As I always say, as long as I have a voice, as far as it depends on me, I'm going to keep spreading the good word. I'm going to keep
Yes.
educating. I'm
Yes.
going to keep talking till I'm blue in the face. At the end of the day, it is the business owner's risk to decide how they want
It
to
is.
manage.
It is.
And
And you
sometimes,
can't, and sometimes it's sad, but you can't force it.
and they always come back to us afterwards.
Yeah.
Once they've been hit.
Yeah.
Once they're in so much pain that they can't avoid getting the security in place. We help so many businesses recover from cyber attack, but I would so much prefer to be on the other side of
Proactive
that
side. Yes.
conversation.
Yes.
Like if
Yes.
you would just, that's why I'm just so curious as how I can explain it, how I can go in and talk in medical analogies where they understand it. I'm really looking forward to working with you. We're moving into a new office. It's got an amazing space. I want to continue this, educational theme. I want to bring people
Yeah.
in for lunch and learns. I want to bring people in for after hours networking that revolves around a topic, learning something that they
Yeah.
can take that will equip them
Yes.
and that they can take away and apply in their business. I think that um, I know both of us have a heart for serving.
Yes.
And so I believe in the law of
Yes.
reciprocity and
Yes.
you give and then things come back around to you.
Yes.
So I'm very much looking forward to
Yes.
partnering with you and hosting some of
Yay.
these events where we can bring these business owners in and say, listen, this is what we're seeing on the cyber side. This is how the attacks are coming in. This is who is targeting medical businesses
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And then give them some, a framework and some steps and some real actionable items that they can take back and begin to implement immediately. You don't have to go straight to, full on, security can get expensive. It is a cost of doing business today, though.
It is. It's just like insurance. It's just like insurance.
Yes. So I was in insurance for 20 years. I helped businesses recover after devastating loss. I've seen a lot of businesses think they were covered, but what they filled out on the application wasn't accurate, and so claims were denied. Or a policy, they didn't fully understand their policy limits. Every single type of cyber attack has a coverage limit in a line item. So you may have a $5 million policy, but when it comes to wire fraud and willingly wiring money, although accidentally, there are sublimits, there are exclusions, there are coverage limitations, there are deductibles, there are self-retention limits that you have to pay
Yes.
first. Most people, again, aren't reading the fine print. They aren't reading those line items. They aren't understanding that. And that's one of the things I work really, really hard to help business owners is understand, manage, and mitigate their risk. Whether I did that with insurance for over 2 decades, now I'm doing it proactively in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And it feels so good to be on this side
Yes.
because I really do feel like I'm helping to prevent loss to begin with.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, you need both because
Yes.
no security can stop all attacks. Because with the advancement of AI, they are coming so fast and so furious
Yeah.
and so sophisticated and
Yeah.
so hard to
Scary.
detect.
It's really
I
scary.
mean,
Yeah.
you look at stuff on your phone or that comes in an email and you're like, is this legit? It says it's from Microsoft. Do I really need to
Yeah.
submit my
Yeah.
credentials again?
Yeah.
It's really, really tough. And that's where some of those those proactive cybersecurity tools stop a lot of that from coming through. But it can't stop anything, which is why insurance is important. We recommend that you have the proactive cybersecurity and the reactive insurance.
And it's, again, education, awareness, and we're coming at it from really just like our genuine, kind heart
Absolutely.
because we want to help them and we want to prevent the bad from happening. And that's really all it is.
If there's one message that you want every medical leader to carry with them, what would that be?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one.
It's a loaded one.
Just one.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot.
We have. And I think at the end of the day, doctors become doctors and nurses become nurses because they want to help people,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
That's why they do what they do.
That's why I'm in cybersecurity and that's why you're in
Yeah.
consulting.
Yeah. Yeah. So just think about that, and helping a patient can mean different things to different people, and this secure side, this cyber side, this all insurance, everything that we've been talking about, that's how you help and protect your patients. Like I think it's really that simple.
It's not just about the medical help that you're
Yeah.
providing them, but it's also keeping all that information secure
Yeah. Yeah.
and connecting them with the right people that can continue to help their patients in other areas. I think what you're doing is so special and so
Thank
important.
you.
I just think you have such bright things ahead. I'm very, very excited for your future.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited to personally work with you.
Yay. I'm excited to work
Um,
with you too.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to tell people how they can get in touch with you if they
Oh,
have
yes.
any additional questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so Lisa Gaouette, I say Gaouette, not dry. I
Yeah.
don't even try to say it or spell it because it'll be bad. So my company, G4 Strategies LLC, and the best way to reach me actually is G4. So G as in Gaouette, for the number Strat, STRAT.com. That's my website. Social media, same thing, G4 Strat, Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not a TikTok fan, so don't find me on TikTok. Yeah, that's the best way.
Great. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here on the Mission Secure podcast,
Yay.
special Secure Your Practice edition. And I look forward to having you back again.
Yes, I will definitely come back for you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Lisa.
All right, thank you.